Hey everybody, welcome to Omens, episode 10, the Four of Wands. I'm Ryan. Um, it's November. Not even gonna get into what all that means. It's like it's the second week in November now, by the time you be watching this, if not later. Um, ain't even. It's Saturday and there's still no news. Really. Or at least if there is, I'm ignoring it. Because this is more interesting. It's better for my mental health. Yeah. Alright. So, anyway, it is time for a first tarot card of the month. So we've got 5 Sundays this month, and so this week we're doing Four of Wands. Next week we'll be exploring Scorpio season. At the end of Scorpio season. And then of course a crystal, an herb, a rune, and probably something else. What did I put? What did I do last month? And a spell, most likely, for next week. And then the week after that is the third Sunday, fourth Sunday. So fourth Sunday we will be getting into the Empress, and then the week after that is a fifth Sunday. And I think I'm gonna do something special for that. I'm not sure what yet. I'll come up with something. But I don't know whether it'll be tarot specifically tarot related, or if it'll be something different. There's a full moon the Monday of, so I might play with that. Excuse me. Alright, so let's dive in. Sorry, my dog's being a bit of a pain. He's trying to leave out the door. Anyway. So while I was doing research on this one, I learned some interesting stuff about the astrology. For the 2 sources I take the astrology from, get into that. The other thing with this one, I'm going to do it in a slightly different order than I have been doing it, and I think it'll flow a little bit better. But we'll see. So starting first off, I got a new deck, by the way, the Black Cat Tarot. My sister gave it to me as a gift. So this is the Four of Wands in the Black Cat Tarot, and we're going to use it as we explore the number 4 that has, the number 4. So, in the Pythagorean numerology book I have, it's mostly a birth chart, or basically birth numbers. So I just take the basic meanings. Hopefully I'll eventually learn a bit more about numerology, but for now what I have is a book that's just in a birth chart. But basically how it sets it up is it's like a tic-tac-toe square, so 2 lines vertical, 2 lines horizontal. There's 9 squares, and then you place each number goes in a different square, and it's the each of the horizontal rows, sorry, each of the rows are mind, physical, and soul, I believe. So that sets you up for kind of visual as to where the 4 is. The 4 is at the center of the physical plane. So I believe that is it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the top row. So the very top row they have as the physical plane. So 4 is at that very center, in the center column, at the center of the row. So basically, we've gone from that primary first. So our first column was kind of as our youngest years, as basically little children. It's like that number 1 is an infant just being born. Number 2, when we hit the mind plane, is when we start adding toddlers. Number 3 is soul plane. That's when we're probably hitting around 5 or 6 years old. We're starting to do more, explore more. 4, you're a little older. You're starting to get things in order. So it's the center of the physical, or the doing plane is another way of putting it. 4 is the key to orderliness, practicality, and organizing. It's symbolized by the square, the basis of all practical construction, and it also represents containment and regularity. It's practical and material. It's very physically focused. So a 4 is stability. It's square. It's that, like I just said, it's that first basic building block. While a triangle is kind of your strongest shape, it's not exactly practical for construction, because there's only so much you can do with a triangle, and the best way to end up putting triangles together to get a really good solid foundation for like building something physically is to put them into a square shape. So a square is your physical building block. And that's what's going to hold everything together very strongly. And it's people with the number 4 in their chart, especially a lot of it, they're very practical, down to earth, grounded. They like everything in order. So this is that age when we're starting to hit, I want to say probably preteens. That's when around, so if we're doing infant, mind is when you're getting older, toddler age, and then that first steps of soul is probably maybe a little older than 5 or 6, because you're starting to actually, most people start, I believe, paying attention to the spiritual stuff closer to around just under 10, right around just the time they're hitting double digits, so probably between 8 and 11, 12 or so. And then we come back to 4, which is when you start paying attention to your body again. Like, you're starting to get things ordered. So probably about the early stages of puberty, like around 11 to 13, give or take. That's when we hit 4. That's when everything needs to be neat, needs to be ordered, when we're focused on our physical bodies again, very strongly. That's where we're learning. We're learning structure, where we're structuring ourselves. And I think I'm gonna do that, put that as it for number 4, because I do want to try to not repeat myself so much, and also kind of keep this at least somewhat short, or at least not ridiculously long, as I've been trying. So the next part of this, so our basics of this card is the 4, and then the fire. So we have here, this is from the Good Tarot, yeah, the Good Tarot, the 4 of Fire. And interesting enough, I will actually bring this card back a little later on because of how it relates to another aspect. The second part of our wands is fire, which, I mean, we kind of explored quite a bit of in the Ace of Wands. That's what fire means and stands for. And one second, I gotta check the thermostat. Alright, sorry about that. It seems really hot in here, but according to the thermostat, it's 72, so I don't know. Maybe it's just all the lights, or because I'm sitting here talking about fire. Anyway, so fire is kind of our representation of creation and destruction. It's also the, in alchemy, the purest, closest, the purest element. It's basically the closest to the primordial element, the prima materia. It's pretty much just pure energy. So, In the 4 of fire, the aspect of fire that we focus on is its ability to give light and warmth, because another part of the 4 of fire, and we'll come more to this, as you kind of probably got a feel for it here. It's community, it's home, it's family, it's excuse me, yeah, it's home and family. It's building and structure. It's like 4 is the number of construction and whatnot. So the aspects of fire we're thinking about in 4 of fire are your home fires. Somebody keep the home fires burning. The hearth fire, where everybody gathers around the hearth and just tell a story in the kitchen, living room, wherever your hearth is. It's the candles, the lamps, it's that homey fire. It's the night. It's not a giant bonfire. It's not the lightning strikes, the forest fires or whatever. It's the hearth fire. It's small and comfortable. It's lamps. It's light, warmth, cheeriness, all that. So that's the aspect of fire we're focusing on in the 4 of fire, is the more structured and homey fire. Next part of this, we're gonna start. So usually this is the point where I'd start on the Kabbalah of it, but like I said, I found a different flow. I kind of want to move forward. So we're actually gonna start on the astrology from my tarot and astrology book. I pulled out, and so this is where I gotta mention. So I've already mentioned before how I've got basically 2 different astrology aspects I'm going off of them. One of them is the celestial tarot, which has its own meanings for stuff, and then of course the tarot and astrology book. We'll come to find out with this one, I did something because I was like, that's not right. I really do need to read the book all the way. But I did actually read it so I could find an explanation. So in tarot and astrology, actually let me back it up a little bit more. So in astrology, modern contemporary astrology, for the most part, you have that circle of the zodiac. Each sign has its own little segment on the 360 degrees, and each of those, and it's 30 degrees. Each of those 30 degrees gets split into 10, known as decans. So, say, for example, Aries is 30 degrees wide, and 0 to 9 degrees is its first decan, 10 to 19 is its second decan, and then 20 to 29 is its third decan, correct? So, in most common astrology, most modern contemporary astrology, each of those decans is assigned a sub-ruler. So, Aries is the main astrological sign, and its ruler is Mars. Planetary ruler is Mars. Each of its 10 decans has a sub-ruler, a planetary sub-ruler. And how I've always understood it, or I've always seen it, is each of those decans, it's only the planets that are in that specific sign. So it's, so for Aries, it would be the first decan is Aries is a double Aries ruled by Mars. So double ruler of Mars. That's second, which we've had. The second decan is the next fire sign, which is Leo. It's the middle, it's the fixed sign, so cardinal, fixed, mutable of those fire signs. So that second decan is ruled by Leo and the sun. So it's basically the primary ruler is Aries and Mars, and the sub-ruler is the sun and Leo. Which is how it's been for the last couple of cards. However, then when I was doing the research on this one, it threw me off because it assigns this one as Venus in Aries, Libra. Most specifically Libra, because Venus rules 2 signs, but specifically, basically, Libra. And I was like, wait a second, Libra's an air sign, Venus has nothing to do with fire, what the heck? So I go back over it. So technically in contemporary astrology, this third deacon should be ruled by Sagittarius and Jupiter for the Four of Wands. They have, and there's actually good reasoning as to why they have it being Venus. So they follow the tarot and astrology book. That author follows specifically, I mentioned it before, the Golden Dawn understanding of tarot. Teachings, the Golden Dawn teachings of tarot. So for the Golden Dawn, each of those deacons is not ruled by, it's not, this is all fire, this one's all earth, this one, and so on and so forth. Each of those sub-rulers and the deacons is done by Chaldean astrology and the order of those planets. The difference is, instead of starting with the sun, I believe, is the first one, either the moon or the sun, is usually the first in the order of Chaldean astrology. It starts with Mars because Mars is usually the first one to really go for anything. It's that first mover, the instigator, the one that gets things started. So, and since Aries is the beginning, so they start with Mars. So the first two deacons of Aries with these cards were pretty much the same as they would be anywhere else. Once you get to the third deacon, however, that's when it starts really getting into the order of the planets they use, which is Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, Saturn, and then Jupiter. So, and that goes all the way around the wheel, which means in contemporary astrology, this third deacon of Aries would traditionally be basically the Sagittarius deacon and ruled by Jupiter. In this one, it is basically the Libra deacon of Aries and ruled by Venus, which is very, very interesting, but at the same time also makes sense. So I'm going to try to, for this, while I'm talking about this one, I'm going to be concentrating mostly on the Venus section, because that's what I brought down, and then once we get into the Celestial, well, that one's even more fun, because they do theirs in a slightly different order, starting with the Ace as opposed to the 2, so all the different ways you can do these and put them together. I might kind of build them together instead of doing the order I was going to do. Okay, so in the Golden Dawn teachings of tarot, the Four of Wands is known as the Lord of Perfected Work. So, again, they have it as Venus and Aries. So Venus is actually in her detriment in Aries. So there's different aspects as to where planets fall in each sign. Like there's usually about 4 signs. Venus actually has 6. They're the signs of rulership. That's the one they rule. So Venus rules Taurus and Libra. Then there's the sign of detriment. So that's basically the opposite sign of their rulership. So in Venus's case, she is in her detriment in Aries, which is the opposite of Libra, and in Scorpio, which is the opposite of Taurus. And if they're in their detriment, it just means they're in the weakened position. Their rulership is when they're in their most strongest position. Their exalted signs is when they're not quite as strong as in their rulership, but they're still pretty strong. Detriment is when they're very weakened. But because it's also the polar opposite of their strongest rulership, they're not at their weakest. They're actually at their weakest in their fall sign, is the sign of their fall, which is the opposite sign of their exaltation. But I'm not going to get too much in that. I'm just giving that out. So Venus in Aries is in her detriment. So she's weakened in her opposite sign of rulership. But like I said, it's not her weakest state. She still has some power here. A picture it gave me was, so in tarot, the Empress is ruled by Venus, so you have that card of just lush, beautiful gorgeousness. Aries, the sign in the tarot, is the Emperor, which is strong, structured, bit barren in the traditional, in the RWS depiction. He's a bit barren. So imagine, so Venus is basically this lush, fertile, just comfortable, just all out. Think a blending of Taurus and Libra. Just all that. I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is. Just all of that beauty. And she's going to visit the Emperor. So in this card, she's gone from this fertile, beautiful, just absolute. I know there's a word on the tip of my tongue. She's gone from that, and she's going to visit the Emperor in his very barren kind of Spartan. We only have what we need, and everything's squares, blocks. So she's now going to visit there. So Venus is now visiting Mars. The basically socialite, not socialite. Yeah, where is basically, I'm just gonna go with socialite. Basically, the socialite. I must have everything absolutely fine and pretty. Everything must be perfect and beautiful and just over the top. Well, not quite over the top, but very close to over the top. Is now going to visit this dude who's like, just think absolute bare minimum. It's like, I got 2 shirts, a pair of pants, 3 pairs of socks, 3 pairs of underwear, a hand wash stuff. I have nothing and I have no extra stuff that I don't need. Just she's gone from this to this. So that's why it's kind of an detriment. However, Venus does have a tendency to just beautify every space she's in, no matter what it is. Even if it's in her detriment or in her fall sign. She's still going to enter into the Emperor's palace, and she's going to beautify it. She's going to make it a little softer, a little more. It's not quite the over-the-top plushness that you'll see in Venus in, like, say, Taurus, but it's still, those sharp lines have kind of softened a little bit. That there's maybe now a throw rug on the floor. It's just a plain rug, maybe even a bearskin, but there's now a rug on the stone floor. We've maybe got a wall hanging or 2, just some plain stuff, maybe. At the very least, we've kind of changed out these harsh light bulbs for a softer glow. It's Aries. Martial rigidity has been softened by Venus coming here. And these two together, but her luxuriousness, that's the word I was looking for. Her luxuriousness has been kind of toned down a lot by Aries. It's like, yeah, no, we don't do luxuriety. It's like little touches here and there, okay, but we're still pretty martial or Spartan. But they work together, even though they are kind of polar opposite signs and tend to have, like, be a little bit not able to quite not fit cohesively together, they are still able to, they're not complete, like, we hate each other. It's just like, they're still on the same line, if you know what I mean. They're not like at a 90 degree where it's like we got nothing in common and there's serious tension going on here. They're not in a square to each other. They're in alignment with each other. Even though they're 2 ends of a spectrum, they're still in alignment, so they're still able to work together. And that's the big thing with this card. This is the card of, they both bring out kind of the best of each other. Venus brings out the better of Aries, and Aries kind of tones her down a lot. And this card is, and that's what this card is also about. And we can actually also see here is this is kind of, it's structured. It's the Emperor's castle right in here. But there's curves to the arches. It's not just straight stone turrets. There's curves. That's Venus's influence right there. I don't know how well you can see it on, but these posts they've got decorative carvings on them. There too again is Venus's influence on Mars. This is a card of the Emperor and the Empress coming together, the young ones, very young, not the full-fledged Emperor and Empresses of the major arcana. This is the Emperor who's maybe just getting on his throne, starting to look for his Empress, trying to find that mate, that consort that will help him that will actually kind of enhance his work, bring this slightly softer touch, make it easier to work with. This is a card of collaboration, cooperation, marriage, partnerships, what have you, anything that involves two people who come from different views being able to kind of come together and fit together. Just fit and slot nicely together. So, I was going to go into the Apollo next, but I think I actually will go ahead and continue on with the Celestial card. So again, the difference between this one and the Tarot and Astrology and the Tarot book, or Tarot Astrology, whatever the hell it's called. I forget what it's called, Tarot and Astrology? Tarot and Astrology. Is that this, like I said, whereas Tarot and Astrology starts with the 2, this one's, the Celestial starts with the Ace, and then the 10 is fire, as opposed to the Ace being fire, the element. So that means the Celestial puts the Tarot card, the 4 of Wands, as the first deacon of Leo. So, and they have reasons for that. So, like I said, in contemporary astrology, it would be, if we were following along with the Tarot and Astrology, if it's the 3rd deacon of, which honestly makes a lot more sense than this one does, but it has its own interpretation. So, if we're starting with the 2 of Wands in Aries, and we're going along with contemporary astrology, that puts our 4 of Wands as Sagittarius in Aries, so it's ruled by Jupiter, who is the planet of expansion and abundance, which again kind of ties in a lot with that Venus as well. You could do either, this is where it's kind of, you could do either Venus or Jupiter, honestly, because both of them, Venus is majority, softness, kind of coming together. Jupiter is expansion, bounty, so it's a lot. It's just, Jupiter isn't so much, I'm gonna make my home here. Jupiter is, where can we go? Where can we take this and forge forward? Which doesn't really come up with this card. This one is definitely more a home style. That's why I kind of agree a bit more with the Venus being it instead of it being Jupiter and Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is a let's charge ahead. That was, Mars is that warrior, let's go. Sagittarius is like, hell yeah, let's go, over there, and there, and there, and there, and there. And Mars would have to go, no, we're going that way. So it's a bit more awkward to put together, I suppose. And what's even more interesting is, in the Celestial Tarot, they have this, the aspect for this card, the representation, is actually a square. So this is kind of just following kind of specifically on Celestial Tarot, though you can take it, and if it works for whatever tarot, it's another aspect to add to decks as you can. And this is a bit more seen of how the different decks say different things. So in the Celestial Tarot, the aspect is a square. It's the 1st degree of Leo, which is ruled by the Sun. So it's, yeah, the 1st degree of Leo? Yeah, so it's a, yeah, double Sun. So it's double Leo, double Sun. So the 1st deacon is always ruled, or would it be Aries? Oh dear. I believe it always starts with... Yeah, it always starts with whatever that specific sign's ruling sign and whatever. So Aries goes Aries, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Leo goes Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, and Sagittarius goes Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, and contemporary. So this has this as the first of Leo, and the reason for that, and again, the constellation and this constellation associated with it is Hydra. So if y'all kind of know the story of the Hydra, it was one of the tasks of Heracles, or Hercules is how he's most often heard named. But Heracles, he was one of his tasks to kill the Hydra, which was a many-headed beast. I believe it might have only started with two, where if you chopped off one head, two heads sprung from that neck. So he was sitting there chopping off heads, and more were coming, until his, I don't remember exactly what it is, his helper, kind of what we'd probably consider a squire, ran up to him with a burning branch, or he asked for one, I can't remember which one it was, and so he was able to take that branch, and he'd chop off the head, and he'd burn the stump of the next stump, so nothing could grow from it, and that way he finally actually managed to defeat the Hydra and kill it. So the Hydra is actually the largest and the longest constellation in the sky, fun fact. And so it's the first, they have it as the first deacon of Leo, so it's double Leo, double Sun. It's both the ruler and the sub-ruler. And their explanation is this card is symbolizing the heroic impulse that successfully battles and wins against monsters of fear and doubt. It's linked with Leo, which is thematic of the courage and determination needed to express the self. It's a celebration of overcoming an early battle. So it's like there's still battles to come. Hydra was actually an early task of Heracles. So it's like he still had like a bunch more tasks. I think he had like 8 or something more tasks to finish. That sounds about right. So it's like this card especially is symbolizing kind of a victory of overcoming, more specifically, battles within yourself, stuff you've been having to work down against, it's like whatever demons of fear and doubt, or I can't do this, and it's just like because you have one bad thought and more start, and you try to stop one and more start. It is like a Hydra. So that's how they explain the Four of Wands. It's like being able to overcome stuff, to be a bit more of a hero, to be able to get closer to to be able to go, okay, I know this is just fear, paranoia, old programming, whatever. I'm able to overcome it and get closer to my true self. So that's an interesting way of looking at this. Already 33 minutes. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive into the Kabbalah of this. So in the Kabbalah, and we're going to go ahead and bring out my vice versa tarot for this. In the Kabbalah, the 4s are associated with the Sephiroth of Chesed, also sometimes called Gedula, which means loving kindness and mercy. It's actually the second Sephiroth down in the Pillar of Mercy. It's actually what that pillar is named for, is the second Sephiroth down in each of the pillars. So you have the Pillar of Severity, the Pillar of Mercy, the Pillar of Harmony. Chesed is mercy, and it's the center of the Pillar of Mercy, basically. It's located in the second realm or world down on the tree, which is the Olam Beria, or the realm of creation. It's in the Pillar of Mercy. Bleh. It's ruled by Jupiter, planet of expansion and bounty. So again, we have Jupiter coming into this, of Jupiter being kind of a sub-ruler of this card, which is shown really well in a more closer to the original RWS depiction. So what this all is, this canopy here, and I hadn't known this until just recently. The canopy is kind of, most likely, it's one of two things. It's either a sukkah, yeah, a sukkah, or a chuppah. Um, so a sukkah is, um, it's a built canopy that Jewish. It's part of a Jewish harvest festival called Sukkot. And what they do is, I vaguely remember hearing about this before, and I hadn't thought of it until this came up. But I think it's about for maybe about a week or so. I'm not sure how long. They build kind of a really a canopy just kind of like this. It's like they just get four little rods. They kind of put canopy over it, and they stand there under the canopy, and they make their meals. They eat, they sleep, they just kind of live in that, like outside, for however long it is. And the reason for that is it's an expression of trust in their God's ability to provide for them. That they trust that their God will, in fact, provide everything necessary they need, even if they're just kind of living out in this little canopy for so long. It's like okay, we trust you to provide this bounty for us, and that's also part of why it's part of a harvest festival, because when else do you get that much bounty but during a harvest? Which is also why it's associated with Jupiter, which is expansion and bounty, bringing all this. It's part of the harvest. It's like, we've worked hard and we've gotten to this point where we now bringing in this harvest. Yeah, we've still got the rest of the year to live on. We still got the winter. This is only a 4 card. It's an ending point, but it's only the first ending point. You still got 6 more cards to go. So yeah. And then the chuppah, the other possibility for this, and a lot more often depicted, is a chuppah is a very similar looking canopy that Jewish marriages take place under. So again, a card of commitment, of collaboration, of coming together in sacred bonds that you're just like, not even necessarily marriage between two sexual or romantic partners. The card the book I was reading was talking about a lady who she'd never gotten along with her mother very much, and then her mother died before they'd reconciled. After a few years, she gave all her mother's jewelry to her aunt because she didn't want anything to do with her mother. And then after a few years, she was able to kind of reconcile to herself, and she asked for her mother's wedding ring back, just that. And that was kind of a marriage in itself. It's like she was able to come to terms with, to collaborate, to bring together these different sides and oppositions into a marriage of harmony, of being able to say, okay, yeah, I now kind of understand. I'm able to forgive my mother. I'm able to kind of work with who she was, or my memory of her. I'm able to actually come into harmony with that. I'm able to work through the bad and accept the good. So marriage can mean a lot of different things. It's not just we sign up names on a piece of paper and we get tax benefits, which is so stupid. That is so stupid. So again, and then the Sephiroth itself, the Sephiroth of Mercy, and we can actually see it pretty well in here. So we've got a satyr and his probably nymph just sitting here dancing under the bright sun, and while on this side everything looks good, bright, happy, and sunny, it's like this side we can kind of see this is also, it's definitely harvest. This ram skull right here, actually it's not a skull, it's a stone statue, whoops. It's nearing twilight. The ram is also a symbol of fertility and spring. A dove is a symbol of peace and harmony. They're coming together and dancing. Wow, What was it? But it's all just fun and games, and that's some of the representation of Chesed or Mercy, which in the book I was reading, it was described to the author as kind of being like a soft serve ice cream machine. It's all sweet and gooey and just delicious, and it just constantly runs and runs and runs, and you can eat all the ice cream you want. However, you are eventually going to get sick, which is why this is only a 4. And why when it comes to the Kabbalah, you have to go from the Pillar of Mercy to the Pillar of Severity, because you need that structure. Otherwise, you're just going to drown yourself in ice cream and throw up. Anyway. So in here we have all that sweetness and gooiness, but it's contained within that structure, within those 4 squares. It's sweetness and light and just happiness, but it's structured. It's built upon a steady, solid foundation, and it's going to just continue to grow from there. Okay, so the Kabbalistic angel for this card is Mahasiah. Their name means God the Savior. They are a seraphim, which is the highest rank of angel. Their psalm, for those who do psalmic magic, is Psalm 34:5. When this card comes up, its meaning is rectification, and and rectification, basically being able to rectify differences. Again, that Venus versus Aries deal. It's being able to bring those in harmony, rectify those differences, to bring them together. Mahasiah, they help you live in peace with everyone, the entire world, basically. So again, we bring in that that mercy, that Sephiroth, the Chesed Sephiroth. This is structure and harmony, being able to bring peace, living, just bring those differences together to harmony, just to soften the harshness, but also clear out some of the clutter. All that right there. Now, it's just Mahasiah. They're literally someone you'd probably want to call on, the angel you want to call on if you really just need to give yourself peace with the world, with everyone. Those born under Mahasiah, they learn all they desire with ease. They have an attractive face and character, and they are happy with honest pleasures. I can testify to the attractive face. My little sister is born under the physical guardian part of this, so as for character, I'm not sure. Learning, hell if I know. And happy with honest pleasures? I don't know. Maybe. But anyway. So Mahasiah is a soul guardian for those born from 1:20 a.m. to 1:40 a.m. Moral guardian of those born March 24th, June 4th, August 15th, October 26th, and January 6th. And the physical guardian for those born April 9th through 13th. So yeah, if you want to conjure up some peace and harmony and help you just feel at peace with the whole world and able to get along, that's Mahasiah. Alright, so next part of this, I'm actually gonna again read from book. This is and the reason I was gonna bring this one back is the being in my Spirit of Halloween deck. The being associated with the 4 of Wands is the fairy. Yay. Which I thought was amusing that the Good Tarot has a fairy in there as well. Just a little bit extra on there. So, and I'm actually going to read from Enchantment of the Fairy Realm by Ted Andrews for this. Now, just a little bit about fairies, who they are as beings. The fairies and elves are Mother Nature's children. They are as many-sided as nature itself. They vary in size and form and personality. They are not bound to the material precepts we often like to impose. With all of the evidence and all the information that comes through the tales, it is hard, if not impossible, to create a theory that unites them all. Stories are too diverse, and we must ask ourselves, do they need to be organized united? Like everything about fairies and elves, the sources of their names are ambiguous. The term fairy seems to be derived from Latin fatum, or fate, in recognition of the skill fairies had in predicting and even controlling human destiny. In France, fier is referred to the fairy's ability to alter the world that humans saw, cast a spell over human vision. From fier came not only fee, but the English word fairy, which encompassed both the art and both the art of enchantment and the whole realm in which the fairies had their being. Fairy and fae, as in F-A-I-R-Y, and fae, other derivatives of the parent word, referred only to the individual creatures. The common English term for the individual fairy was elf. This came from the Scandinavian and Teutonic traditions and languages. In Scandinavia, the word for elves was alfar, which could reflect any spirit of the mountains, forests, and waters. This is quite appropriate since we generally link elves and fairies with all things of the natural world. The good people, as they are sometimes called, held an important position in the world when each tree had a name and every deer was recognized, known, and even called by name. They are numerous and very powerful. They played an important role in everyday life. Humans are not the supreme rulers of the physical world. There are many beings in many forms, often equal to humans in cunning, strength, and power. Many fairies worked and lived together with humans when, as humans, we had more of an instinctual and intuitive connection to all of life. Fairies assisted us with crops. They taught us lunar and solar cycle with planting. Eventually, though, humans quit listening. As the natural world became tamed, fairies it sheltered became more elusive. Humans established boundaries and structures. For the fairies, this meant trouble. They are beings for whom neither time nor nature is defined. As forests were claimed and cleared, so began the withdrawal of the fairies. Then, with the rise of Christianity, belief and recognition in these other forms of life were discouraged. Humans kept the links that tied them to the real world of fairies. In the past, sacrifice, song, praise, and prayers were used to strengthen links to the forces of nature. Today, this is not done. Although the saying of grace before a meal is a remnant of these ancient rituals, it is not enough. When we lose our connection, things die, and the same is true of the more ethereal realms. Many of the tales associated with mischievous and cruel pranks by fairies, e.g. turning milk sour, etc., reflect the response to the abuse and neglect of humans towards them in their habitats. Many doors have closed. Some in the fairy realm have withdrawn entirely. They left with the woods. Some have adapted to human life. Others are to be found wherever nature is alive and active. Still others have gone deep underground. There are still house sprites and brownies, and dark elves are often found in basements and attics. Every tree and flower still has its spirit. Every wood has its lady of the woods. Trolls can be seen occasionally in ditches and hanging from metal gratings on the undersides of bridges. When nature is freest and wildest, fairies and elves are most numerous. Today, the fairy realm is not so accessible. The Shadowlands still lie hidden in the countryside, but never are they clearly seen. Any opening in sea or land may mark the borders of enchantment. This can be a whirlpool, lake, cavern, or well. It may be a bend in the road or an intersection of two paths. Though the entrances are elusive, they can be discovered. Children, poets, seers, and healers often find fairies without realizing it. Those with second sight and humans at peace and in tune with natural surroundings will have access to these realms and the beautiful beings within them. So, when it comes to fairies, so this card has the fairies kind of being the representation of your home and harmony. Again, with harmony, being able to live in harmony with nature is what that Four of Wands is representing, is being able to live in the same thing. It's harmony, it's conglomeration, it's being able to take those differences and marry them together into a collaboration, being able to marry them. That's the main strong thing. One thing I will tell you about fairies a little bit. There are a lot of people that have a tendency to, oh my gosh, fairies, rainbows, unicorns, oh so pretty, and they're all here to help us, and they love everything, and no, bitch, no. Okay, fairies are people too. They are not cotton candy, which is what I see a lot of. Yes, a lot of fae, a lot of the good people, especially the ones most pagans tend to work with, which are your basic nature spirits, like usually ones that have to do with that actually really work mostly in conjunction with just the outdoors and plants, and I mean even some house sprites. Um, they tend to be very helpful and calm, and you know what? Just give them respect. Give them the basic respect. They do tend to be very helpful. However, that is not all good people. That is not all of them. There are many more that are stronger, more powerful, not necessarily anywhere near as friendly. There are some that are definitely not friendly. Um, I luckily don't know any of them. Um, do your research. We have myths and stories, oral, written, wherever you come from, that describe Fae and the Fae and the different types, a lot of the different types everywhere. Do your research. Always, do not expect, because you will come across tricksters. I mean, this is the same thing with anything, any sort of spirit. And here's another side note. Fae are not nature spirits. They're and they're sure as hell not elemental spirits. 3 different things. Just FYI. Fae tend to be a little bit more physical. Nature spirits are literally connected with nature. They tend to be your plants, your rocks, your trees. Your elementals are your undines, your salamanders. They're literally spirits of an element: earth, air, fire, water, metal, wood, whatever. Fae are a little more closer to the physical. They're a lot closer. They're very, very close to humans. They're slightly more ethereal, which is why you don't actually see them walking around for the most part, unless you're really good at seeing stuff. But they are the closest thing we have to, besides animals, they're the closest thing we have as basically cousins. Which means they're like any other, they're like humans. They're very similar to humans. You have your good ones, your bad ones, and you're kind of just not average ones that are good and a lovely mix of good and bad. So, if you want to work with good people, do your research, be respectful. They are more powerful and they're a lot older than humans, and they don't take kindly to disrespect. If look into hospitality manners, especially Old Nordic ones, Old Nordic and Celtic. That's where you're going to find your best hospitality rules. Now, if you're working with Fae from somewhere that's not a Eastern European, or East or Western European in general, whatever, then look on the hospitality rules for that culture. What are the hospitality rules? Those Fae will live by those rules. So, be polite, be respectful, be prepared to give something to them. This is not a, oh, I need help. Oh, we'll help you, we'll give you all the stuff and nothing in return. No, they want something in return. That's just, if you're an artist, for example, if you do artwork, this is a common problem on the internet. It's like, do you really want to just sit there and give away your artwork to 3 different people? It's a bunch of different people that are like, oh, I really, really need this I need this mural painted on my wall. Are you gonna go, oh, sure, I'll paint a mural? No charge. You're giving your time, your energy, your work, your, time, your energy, your training, your materials, all that, you're really gonna ask for no pay? Same thing with the Fae. Okay? Just be polite, be respectful. Do your research. Do your damn research. And another part of why this is a bit of a peeve is Strega, the shop I go to, has recently had a lady come in who apparently wanted to teach on the Fae, and the third-hand story I got from it was that she was basically, they're bad, they're evil, if you even so much as talk about them, all these bad things are going to happen. I'm like, well, that's the extreme opposite of everything I usually see, but neither of those is true. Neither of those extreme opposites is true. This is a marriage, again, of differences, harmony. Just don't be dumb, people. Seriously. Which I know is a lot to ask, but, you know. Alright, we're going to end this on a pretty good note, on a better note. So, traditional basic keyword meanings for this card to sum it all up. Upright, celebration, joy, silliness, excitement of completion, union, family and friends, all this stuff. Sum it up in a few keywords. Inverted, for those of you who do inversions, false starts, malfunctions, collapse and failure of plans and ideals, exhaustion with a capital E. Those are from Kitchen Table Tarot by Melissa Sinova, by the way. I'm stealing that from her because I don't do keywords very well. So yeah. If it's upside down, stuff probably isn't working. You're probably all kind of in discord. It's not actually coming together upright. It's coming together. It's working wonderful. You got that ice cream. Got that ice cream flowing. You got your cone all swirled up really pretty, and you got sprinkles on it. Inverted? That machine broke and that ice cream is now all over your hands. Or it might just not be working at all, and you don't have any ice cream, which sucks, because ice cream is amazing. I had a bit of a Four of Wands inverted just happen right before I started to. I asked my sister to get me a white chocolate mocha, and she got it from the coffee stand down here in Sierra Vista that we like to go to, and this thing's basically just syrup. I need some more coffee flavor with my mocha, so that's a little bit of an inverted Four of Wands right there. That's a little too sugary sweet for me. Alright. I hope you enjoyed this. I managed to keep it just at under an hour. It's not quite the 45 minutes I was hoping for, but so like, comment, subscribe. I love comments. I like subscribers. I love likes. I love subscribers. Love likes. And I really, really, really would like comments. Please, thank you. Love you. And if you want to hit me up with any like large in-depth questions, bagsandomens@gmail.com. Find me on Patreon, patreon.com, patreon.com / I think it's a / Bags and Omens. I've got some stuff on there. I'm probably going to take another look at it and redo some stuff, because I want to actually get more on there than just tarot card reads, and I think I'm going to take down the very last tier. Unless I can figure out something really cool to come up with. So if you got any ideas, hit me up. Find me on Facebook at Bags and Omens, with an ampersand, by the way. What else? Yeah, check out my daily reads on Intuitive Tarot Read, too. I'm not the main reader on there, but I do at least do the daily reads Monday through Friday. If you want to get an online reading, email me, bagsandomens@gmail.com. I'll do online readings. And if you want an in-person reading, I'm at Strega on Fry Boulevard, Sundays, 11 to 5, give or take, pretty much every Sunday. I just hang out there, come say hi, even if you don't want to read. Come check out the shop, because it is an awesome shop. She also has the largest collection of tarot cards I have ever seen at any metaphysical shop, and I have been to pretty much all the ones in Tucson and Phoenix, and a good chunk of the ones and just recently when I was on vacation, a good chunk of the ones in New Orleans, and none of them have as many decks as she does. None of them. It's fucking amazing. And it's a good place to just kind of hang out and chat. It's a fun little shop, so even if you don't want to come see me, go check out her shop. It's awesome. Yeah, she's open Thursday through Monday, so she's closed Tuesday and Wednesday. But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna see if I can't keep this under an hour. Alright, y'all have a good week. I'll see you next week as we dive into Scorpio season, or the end of it anyway. I start getting ready to head towards, what's the one after Scorpio? Sagittarius? No. Is it Sag? Yeah, Sagittarius afterwards. Yeah, I totally know what season it is. Yeah, alright. Have fun, everybody. Toodaloo.